The alarm rang through Kepler station at exactly 600 hours. Taehyun opened his eyes and stared at the metal ceiling above his bunk. Another day on the edge of human space. Another day of routine samples and boring reports. He sat up and rubbed his face, feeling the tiredness in his bones. Kepler station was not a glamorous place. It floated in orbit around a massive gas giant, far from Earth and far from anything interesting. 20 humans lived here, working in shifts to keep the station running. They checked fuel levels for passing ships. They studied the local space. They waited for something to happen. Taehyun was the lead xenobiologist, which sounded impressive but mostly meant he studied alien bacteria and filed reports that nobody read. He was 34 years old and starting to wonder if he had wasted his career on this remote station. He walked to the mess hall and started preparing breakfast. Cooking was his hobby, the one thing that made him feel human out here in the void. Today he decided to make beef stew, the kind his grandmother used to make back on Earth. He chopped vegetables slowly, enjoying the simple task. The station was quiet. Most of the crew was still sleeping. Taehyun liked these early morning hours when he could be alone with his thoughts. He added spices to the pot and stirred, watching the steam rise. Then the emergency alarm shattered the silence. Taehyun ran to the command center. Commander Da-eun was already there, her military training evident in every movement. She was 41, tough and always in control. Right now she looked worried. "We have a situation," she said, pointing at the screen. "Vrakesh warship heavily damaged, broadcasting distress signals." Taehyun felt his stomach drop. Everyone knew about the Vrakesh. They were predators, warriors, feared across 3 star systems. They looked like giant wolves that walked on 2 legs, covered in black fur with glowing markings on their bodies. They stood over 2 meters tall and could tear a human apart without effort. "Are we helping them?" asked Hyojin, the communications officer. She was 28, brilliant with languages, but her voice shook when she spoke. "It's our duty," Da-eun said firmly. "We respond to all distress calls." Ji-hoon, the security chief, stepped forward. He was 36, former special forces, and he did not trust aliens. "Commander, the Vrakesh are dangerous. This could be a trap." "Noted," Da-eun replied. "But we're doing this." "Everyone to stations. Prepare for boarding." 2 hours later, the Vrakesh ship docked with the station. The airlock opened with a hiss. Taehyun stood with the greeting party, his heart pounding. He had studied alien species for years but had never met a Vrakesh in person. The first one through the door made everyone step back. He was massive, with scars across his face and amber eyes that seemed to glow. His black fur had streaks of gray, and his teeth were like knives. He moved with the confidence of a creature that had never known fear. "I am Rathkar," the Vrakesh said in rough but understandable standard language, pack commander of the ship Darkfang. "We require assistance." His voice was deep and growling. 4 more Vrakesh warriors entered behind him, each one looking ready for battle. They carried weapons and wore armor covered in strange symbols. Da-eun stepped forward bravely. "Welcome to Kepler Station. We'll help however we can." Rathkar stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a sound, something between a growl and a grunt. The other Vrakesh immediately stood straighter. Taehyun realized he was establishing dominance, showing everyone who was in charge. The negotiations began in the mess hall. The Vrakesh needed repairs, fuel, and medical supplies. Da-eun explained what the station could provide. The conversation was tense. Every time a Vrakesh moved, the humans flinched. Every time a human spoke, the Vrakesh growled softly. Taehyun watched Rathkar carefully. His scientific training kicked in, observing behavior patterns. The pack commander sat rigidly, his claws digging into the table. His breathing was shallow. His eyes kept flickering to the exits. He recognized the signs. Rathkar was exhausted, stressed, probably hadn't slept in days. The tough warrior exterior was hiding someone at the end of their rope. Without thinking, Taehyun stood and walked to the kitchen area. His beef stew was still warm on the stove. He ladled a generous portion into a bowl and carried it back to the table. Everyone went silent as he placed the bowl in front of Rathkar. "You look tired," Taehyun said simply. "Eat something warm." The room froze. Ji-hoon's hand moved toward his weapon. Da-eun's eyes went wide. The other Vrakesh warriors made shocked sounds, their fur standing on end. Rathkar stared at the bowl like it was a bomb. His claws trembled. For a long moment, nobody moved or breathed. Then Rathkar slowly reached for the bowl. He lifted it to his face and sniffed. His eyes closed. He took a small taste with his tongue, then another. Then he began eating, quickly at first, then slower, savoring each bite. When the bowl was empty, Rathkar set it down carefully. He made a deep rumbling sound that vibrated through the table. It reminded Taehyun of a cat purring, but much deeper and more powerful. The pack commander looked at Taehyun with an expression that seemed almost soft. Then he did something that made every human in the room gasp. He lowered his head, exposing his throat. "You hunt well," Rathkar said quietly. "This is soul food. Food that warms more than the belly. You offer this to me freely?" Taehyun nodded, confused but trying to stay calm. "Yes, you looked like you needed it." Rathkar was silent for a long time. The other Vrkesh were making agitated sounds, shifting their weight, looking at each other with what might have been confusion or alarm. Finally, Rathkar spoke again. His voice was different now, quieter, almost reverent. "Among my people, to share one's food is sacred. It means trust. It means care. It is what packmates do for each other. You see my weakness, human, but you do not exploit it. You offer strength instead." He stood slowly, and despite his size, there was a gentleness in his movements. He placed one clawed hand over his heart and spoke words in his own language. Then he translated, "You are Alpha. I recognize this. You are Pack." Taehyun blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" But Rathkar had already turned to his warriors and spoken in their growling language. One by one, the other Vrkesh lowered their heads. The gesture looked deeply significant, though Taehyun had no idea what he had just done. Da-un pulled Taehyun aside. "What just happened?" she whispered urgently. "I have no idea," Taehyun admitted. "I just gave him some stew." Hyojin was frantically typing on her tablet, accessing the station's database on alien cultures. Her face went pale as she read. "Oh no," she breathed. "Oh no, what?" Taehyun demanded. Hyojin looked up, her eyes wide. "Taehyun just performed something called the feeding rite. In Vrkesh culture, offering food from your own plate to another is how you acknowledge someone as pack. But doing it to a pack commander, especially when they're vulnerable," she paused, scrolling through more information, "it means you're claiming alpha status. You just told that warrior that you're his leader." Taehyun felt the blood drain from his face. He looked back at Rathkar, who was watching him with those intense amber eyes. The pack commander's expression was unreadable, but there was something in his gaze that looked almost like hope. "Well," Taehyun said weakly, "I guess I should make more stew." Taehyun spent the next hour in his quarters, reading everything he could find about Vrkesh culture. His hand shook as he scrolled through the files. Each new piece of information made things worse. The Vrkesh were pack hunters. Their entire society was built on hierarchy and strength. Alphas led through dominance and power. Showing weakness meant death. They respected only those who could defeat them in combat or prove superior worth. And somehow, by offering a bowl of stew, he had claimed to be superior to a warrior who could snap him like a twig. A knock on his door made him jump. "Come in," he called. Hyojin entered, carrying her tablet. Her face was serious. "I've been studying their language patterns and cultural databases. I think I understand what happened." She sat down and showed him her notes. "The feeding rite is ancient. When a Vrkesh is exhausted or wounded, offering them food is like saying you see their vulnerability but choose to strengthen them instead of attacking them. It shows you're strong enough to not fear them even when they're weak." "But I'm not strong," Taehyun protested. "I'm a scientist. Rathkar could kill me with one hand." "That's not how they see strength," Hyojin explained. "You didn't flinch. You approached him when everyone else was afraid. You offered care instead of taking advantage. To them, that's alpha behavior." Taehyun rubbed his temples. "This is insane. What happens now?" Before Hyojin could answer, the intercom crackled. Taehyun to the command center immediately. When he arrived, Da-un looked grim. Rathkar stood beside her along with a younger Vrkesh warrior who kept glaring at Taehyun with obvious hostility. "We have a problem," Da-un said. "This is Sekthar, one of Rathkar's warriors." "He's challenging your status," Sekthar snarled, showing his teeth. He was younger than Rathkar, with darker fur and fierce green eyes. "This human is weak, small, he cannot be alpha. I challenge him to combat." "Absolutely not," Ji-hoon said, stepping forward. "You're not fighting our scientist." Rathkar raised one clawed hand. "Wait, this is pack business." He turned to Taehyun, and his amber eyes were serious. Among Vrikesh, alpha status can be challenged, but not all challenges are combat. An alpha proves worth through many ways. Strength, yes, but also wisdom, strategy, the ability to lead and protect the pack. What are you suggesting? Taehyun asked, his mouth dry. A test, Rathkar replied. Our ship needs critical repairs. The parts we require are on a derelict station in the debris field, 12 hours away. The journey is dangerous. I propose you lead a team of both humans and Vrikesh to retrieve what we need. Success proves your worth. Failure. He didn't finish, but the implication was clear. Taehyun pulled Taehyun aside. You don't have to do this. I can send Ji-hoon instead. Would they respect that? Taehyun asked. She hesitated. Probably not. If you refuse, they might see it as cowardice. That could make things worse. Taehyun looked at Rathkar, who was watching him calmly. The pack commander had placed his trust in a human he barely knew. If Taehyun backed down now, he would embarrass Rathkar in front of his own warriors. I'll do it, Taehyun said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. 2 hours later, they boarded a small shuttle. The team consisted of Taehyun, Rathkar, Sekthar, and 2 other Vrikesh warriors named Keksra and Velnak. The shuttle was cramped with 3 large aliens inside. Taehyun sat in the pilot's seat checking the navigation systems. The debris field showed up on the screen as a cloud of red warning markers. Thousands of pieces of metal and rock all moving at high speed. Have you flown through debris before? Rathkar asked. Simulations, Taehyun admitted. Never the real thing. Sekthar made a disgusted sound. We are doomed. Have faith, Rathkar said quietly. The shuttle launched. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. Taehyun navigated carefully, following the safest route the computer suggested. The Vrikesh were quiet, watching him work. Then the debris field began. The shuttle shook as small particles hit the shields. Taehyun gripped the controls tighter, his eyes scanning the screens. Ahead, a large piece of metal was tumbling directly into their path. Left, go left, Sekthar shouted. No, wait, Taehyun said, watching the trajectory calculations. If we go left, we'll hit 3 smaller pieces. Better to go right and under. He executed the maneuver smoothly. The large debris passed harmlessly above them. Sekthar grunted. It might have been approval. They were halfway through the field when disaster struck. A piece of shrapnel, too small for the sensors to detect, punched through the hull. Alarm screamed. Red lights flashed. The cabin depressurized and oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. The Vrikesh reacted badly. Their eyes went wide, their breathing became rapid and panicked. Keksra started clawing at her mask. Velnak roared in distress. Even Rathkar looked frightened, his fur standing on end. Taehyun suddenly understood. Vrikesh feared suffocation. It was an instinctive terror for them, probably from their evolution. While humans could stay calm without air for a minute or two, the Vrikesh were panicking. Everyone calm down, Taehyun said firmly. The masks work. You're getting air. Breathe slowly, Sekthar snarled. We need to return. We're all going to die. No, Taehyun said. He kept his voice level and calm, like speaking to a frightened animal. We have 3 hours of air in these masks. The derelict is 40 minutes away. We can make it. The hull breach will get worse, Sekthar argued. Then I'll seal it, Taehyun said. Rathkar, there's emergency repair foam in the storage locker. Can you get it? Rathkar nodded and moved to retrieve it, his movements jerky with fear but obedient. I'll need to go EVA to apply it from outside. Taehyun continued, thinking quickly. Sekthar, you take the pilot seat. Keep us steady. Velnak and Keksra, monitor the oxygen levels. Tell me immediately if they drop below 50%. By giving them specific tasks, he distracted them from their panic. The Vrikesh moved to their positions. Taehyun suited up in the emergency EVA gear, his heart racing but his hands steady. Going outside the shuttle in the middle of a debris field was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but he had to do it. Not just to fix the breach, but to show the Vrikesh that he wasn't afraid. The airlock cycled. Taehyun pulled himself out onto the hull, magnetic boots keeping him attached. The debris field surrounded him, pieces of metal spinning past in the darkness. One wrong move and he would be torn apart. He found the breach and sprayed the foam carefully. It expanded and hardened, sealing the hole. The whole operation took 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. When he climbed back inside, the Vrikesh were staring at him. Even Sekthar looked impressed. You risked your life, Rathkar said softly. So did all of you by coming on this mission, Taehyun replied. He removed his helmet and took a deep breath. Now let's finish the job. They reached the derelict station without further incident. It was an old mining facility, abandoned and dark. The team suited up and entered through a damaged airlock. Inside, the station was a maze of corridors and empty rooms. Their lights cast strange shadows on the walls. They split up to search faster. Taehyun went with Rathkar. Sekthar took Velnak and Keksra. Your species is strange, Rathkar said as they walked. You are physically weak, yet you do not fear death. Oh, I was terrified out there, Taehyun admitted. But fear doesn't mean you can't act. Sometimes you just have to do what needs to be done anyway. Rathkar made a thoughtful sound. Before he could respond, a scream echoed through the station's comm system. It was Sekthar, and he sounded hurt. Taehyun and Rathkar ran toward the sound. They found the other team in a lower corridor. Part of the ceiling had collapsed. Sekthar was trapped underneath a beam, his leg bent at a wrong angle. And worse, automated defense turrets were emerging from the walls, their red targeting lasers sweeping toward the injured warrior. The red targeting lasers painted lines across the dark corridor. 3 automated turrets had emerged from hidden panels in the walls, their weapons charging with an ominous hum. Sekthar lay trapped beneath the collapsed beam, unable to move. Rathkar started forward immediately. I will draw their fire. Get Sekthar out. Wait! Taehyun grabbed his arm. If you charge in, they'll kill you. We need to think. There is no time to think, Rathkar snarled. We do not leave Pack behind, and we don't throw away lives either, Taehyun said firmly. He was already pulling out his datapad, scanning the station's network. This is an old mining station. There should be maintenance protocols. If I can access the system. His fingers moved quickly across the screen. The turrets began tracking towards Sekthar. 5 seconds until they fired. 4-3. Got it. Taehyun transmitted an emergency shutdown code he found in the station's ancient databases. The turrets froze, their lights turning from red to amber, then dark. They powered down. Rathkar stared at him. You stopped them. With thinking. Violence isn't always the answer, Taehyun replied. Now come on, let's get Sekthar out. They rushed forward. The beam was heavy, reinforced metal. Rathkar gripped it with both hands and lifted, his muscles straining. Velnak and Keksra helped. Together they raised it enough for Taehyun to pull Sekthar free. The young warrior's leg was badly broken. He hissed in pain but didn't cry out. Taehyun examined the injury quickly. It's a clean break, painful but not life-threatening. I can stabilize it. He pulled medical supplies from his pack and began working. His hands were steady, his movements efficient. Years of training kicked in. Sekthar watched him with an unreadable expression. Why do you help me? I challenged you. I called you weak. Because you're hurt, Taehyun said simply. And because we're packmates now, whether you like it or not. He splinted the leg and gave Sekthar something for the pain. The Vrakesh's breathing eased. Taehyun sat back on his heels, satisfied with his work. You carry him, Rathkar told Velnak and Keksra. We continue the mission. I can walk, Sekthar protested weakly. No, you can't, Taehyun said gently. Rest, let your packmates help you. That's what we're here for. They found the repair parts in a storage room an hour later. Everything Rathkar needed was there, preserved in sealed containers. The mission was a success. But as they prepared to leave, Rathkar pulled Taehyun aside. I must tell you something, the pack commander said quietly. About my people. About what you have done. Taehyun waited, sensing this was important. Vrakesh society is built on strength, Rathkar explained. The strong lead. The weak follow or die. It has been this way for thousands of years. But recently I have begun to wonder if we have mistaken strength for something else. He gestured to Sekthar, who was being carried by the other warriors. A strong Vrakesh would have left him, would have said he was too weak to survive. But you risked yourself to save him, not because you had to, but because it was right. That is a different kind of strength. One my people have forgotten. Taehyun thought about his words. On Earth we have animals called wolves. They hunt in packs like your people. But the alpha wolf isn't always the biggest or strongest. The alpha is the one who cares for the pack, who makes sure everyone eats, who protects the young and old. Real strength is taking care of others. Rathkar's eyes widened slightly. Wolves. I would like to learn more about these creatures. I'll show you videos when we get back, Taehyun promised. The return journey through the debris field was tense but uneventful. Taehyun piloted carefully, aware of his injured passenger. When they finally docked with Kepler Station, the human crew was waiting anxiously. Dayan rushed forward.
"You're alive!"
We were getting worried. "Mission successful," Taehyun reported, though we had some complications. He helped the Vrakesh carry Sekthar to the medical bay. Over the next few days, an unusual routine developed. Taehyun spent his time between helping repair the Vrakesh ship and treating Sekthar's injury. The young warrior was a difficult patient at first, uncomfortable with accepting help. But gradually he began to open up. "Why does your kind help others so freely?" Sekthar asked one day as Taehyun changed his bandages. "Because we're social creatures," Taehyun explained. "Humans survived not by being the strongest or fastest, but by working together. We learned that helping each other made us all stronger." "But what do you gain from helping me?" Sekthar pressed. "I cannot repay you. I gain a healthier packmate," Taehyun said with a smile. "And maybe a friend if you'll let me." Sekthar was quiet for a long moment. "I was wrong about you, human. You are not weak. You are strong in ways I did not understand." The other Vrakesh warriors also began interacting more with the station crew. Velnak was fascinated by human music. Kexra loved hearing stories about Earth's different cultures. Rathkar spent hours in the observation deck with Taehyun, watching videos of wolves and discussing pack dynamics. "Your wolves mate for life," Rathkar observed. "They raise their young together. The pack is family, not just allies of convenience." "That's right," Taehyun confirmed. "Loyalty through choice, not force." "My people have lost this," Rathkar said sadly. "We compete constantly. We fight for status. We see others as threats, not family. It has made us powerful but isolated. Other species fear us, but none truly respect us. It's not too late to change," Taehyun offered. Rathkar turned to look at him. "You really believe that?" "I do. Look at what's happened here. A week ago, humans and Vrakesh were strangers. Now we're working together, eating together. My crew isn't afraid anymore. Your warriors are learning that cooperation doesn't equal weakness. Change is possible." The pack commander nodded slowly. "Perhaps you are right." Perhaps the station's alarm interrupted him. Dayun's voice came over the intercom, urgent and stressed. "All personnel to command center. We have incoming ships." Multiple signatures. "It's a Vrakesh fleet." Rathkar's fur stood on end. His expression turned grim. "No, it cannot be." "What is it?" Taehyun asked. "Who's coming?" "High Alpha Vextor," Rathkar said quietly. "The most powerful warrior in our empire. He must have heard about you, about what happened. He is coming to challenge you personally." They rushed to the command center. The screen showed 5 massive warships approaching, each one 3 times the size of Rathkar's damaged vessel. The lead ship was broadcasting a message in the Vrakesh language. Hyojin translated, her voice shaking. "He's demanding to meet the human who claims dominance over Vrakesh warriors. He says this insult will be answered with blood." Jihoon reached for his weapon. "We need to prepare for combat." "We have 20 people against hundreds of warriors," Daun said grimly. "We can't win a fight." Taehyun looked at Rathkar. "Tell me about Vextor. What kind of leader is he?" Rathkar's voice was heavy. "He is old, powerful, scarred from 1,000 battles. He has never been defeated in single combat. He rules through fear and strength. If he decides to attack, this station will be destroyed. And if he challenges you, he didn't need to finish." Everyone understood. Taehyun would have to face a warrior who could kill him with one blow. The fleet was getting closer. They would dock within the hour. Taehyun's mind raced, searching for options. Fighting was impossible. Running was impossible. That left only one choice. He had to do what he did best. He had to understand Vextor, find common ground, and somehow convince a warrior emperor that violence wasn't the answer. It seemed impossible. But then again, a week ago, the idea of becoming alpha to a Vrakesh pack commander by offering him stew had seemed impossible too. Taehyun took a deep breath. "Prepare the station for visitors," he told Daun. "And someone help me make a lot more food. If I'm going to face a high alpha, I'm going to do it my way." Rathkar stared at him. "You plan to feed him?" "As you fed me?" "I plan to show him what real strength looks like," Taehyun replied. "The strength to build instead of destroy, to unite instead of conquer. And yes, that starts with food. Good food brings people together. It's worked before. You are either very brave or very foolish," Rathkar said. Probably both, Taehyun admitted. But it's the only chance we have. The station's mess hall had never been so full. Every human crew member worked frantically, cooking dish after dish. Taehyun moved between cooking stations, directing, tasting, adjusting. His hands moved with practiced skill as he prepared his grandmother's beef stew, along with dozens of other dishes. Da-eun approached him, her expression tight with worry. The fleet has docked. Vextor is boarding with an honor guard of 20 warriors. Taehyun, are you sure about this? No, he admitted honestly. But diplomacy isn't about certainty. It's about finding common ground. Everyone eats. Everyone appreciates good food. That's where we start. Ji-hoon stood by the door, armed and tense. If this goes wrong, I'm getting you out of here. If this goes wrong, there's nowhere to run, Taehyun replied quietly. But thank you. The doors opened. High Alpha Vextor entered, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. He was enormous, even larger than Rathkar. Silver streaked through his black fur. Scars covered his arms and face, each one a testament to battles survived. His eyes were dark blue, cold and calculating. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost. Behind him came his warriors, each one battle-hardened and dangerous. They spread out, assessing threats, ready for combat. The human crew instinctively backed away. Vextor's gaze swept the room and landed on Taehyun. The High Alpha's lips pulled back, showing teeth. It might have been a smile. It looked more like a threat. So, Vextor said, his voice like gravel grinding together. You are the human who dares claim dominance over my kind. Taehyun stepped forward. His heart hammered, but he kept his voice steady. I don't claim dominance. I offered help to someone who needed it. That's all. Vextor laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the walls. Help, how amusing. He circled Taehyun slowly like a predator sizing up prey. You are small, weak, your claws are dull. Your teeth are flat. What makes you think you can lead Vrakesh? I don't think that, Taehyun said. I think we can learn from each other. Your people are strong warriors. Mine are good at building things, at solving problems differently. Together, both our species could be stronger. Together, Vextor repeated mockingly. He moved suddenly, getting close enough that Taehyun could feel his hot breath. The Vrakesh do not share power. We take it. Rathkar stepped between them. High Alpha. This human showed mercy when he could have let me die. He saved my warriors when he could have left them. He has proven himself worthy of respect. Vextor's hand moved faster than Taehyun could see. He backhanded Rathkar, sending the pack commander sprawling. You have grown soft, old friend. Perhaps I should put you down for this disgrace. Ji-hoon moved for his weapon, but Taehyun held up a hand, stopping him. Violence now would doom them all. He had to think. Had to find another way. Then an idea struck him. A crazy, desperate idea. High Alpha Vextor, Taehyun said clearly. I challenge you. The room went silent. Every Vrakesh stared at him. Daeun looked horrified. Vextor turned slowly. You challenge me. He sounded amused. To combat? No, Taehyun said. To prove who has greater strength. But strength isn't just about fighting. I challenge you to a test of worth. You show me your way of proving power. I'll show you mine. Then you decide which is truly stronger. Vextor's eyes narrowed. What kind of test? A feast, Taehyun said. A sharing of cultures. You bring your traditions, I'll bring mine. We'll see which one creates stronger bonds, builds better unity, and proves true leadership. If I fail, you can do whatever you want with this station. But if I succeed, you consider a formal alliance between our peoples. The High Alpha was silent for a long moment. His warriors waited, watching their leader. Finally, Vextor threw back his head and laughed. You have courage, little human. Foolish courage, but courage nonetheless. Very well. I accept your challenge. Show me this feast. Impress me if you can. The next hour was chaos. Tables were arranged. Dishes were brought out steaming and fragrant. Taehyun had prepared food from different Earth cultures. Korean barbecue, spicy and savory. Italian pasta with rich sauce. Mexican tamales wrapped in corn husks. Ethiopian stew with injera bread. Japanese sushi artfully arranged. Each dish represented a different human culture, a different way of bringing people together. The Vrakesh warriors looked uncertain. They sat stiffly at the tables, unused to this kind of gathering. Vextor sat at the head table, his expression unreadable. Taehyun stood and addressed everyone. Among humans, sharing a meal is sacred. It's how we make friends, how we seal agreements, how we show that we're no longer enemies. Each of these dishes has a story. The people who made them, the culture they came from, the struggles they survived. Food is memory. Food is connection. Food is peace. He served Vextor personally, placing a bowl of his grandmother's beef stew before the High Alpha. This is soul food, made with care, meant to be shared. In my culture, eating together means we're family. Vextor stared at the bowl. For a moment, Taehyun thought he would reject it. Then the High Alpha picked up a spoon and tasted it carefully. His eyes widened slightly. He took another bite. Then another. Around the room, other Vrakesh began trying the food. Hesitant at first, then with growing enthusiasm. The spices, the flavors, the warmth, it affected them. Their rigid postures relaxed. Their growls softened. Hyojin moved between tables, explaining each dish, telling stories about Earth, about human history, about how food brought different cultures together. The Vrakesh listened, fascinated. Jihoon, after hesitating, began demonstrating human martial arts to a group of interested warriors. He showed them techniques that relied on leverage and strategy, rather than pure strength. The Vrakesh were impressed. Dayun sat with several pack commanders discussing military tactics. She explained how human forces used coordination and communication to overcome stronger enemies. The Vrakesh asked questions, their warrior minds intrigued by these concepts. Slowly, the atmosphere changed. Vrakesh and humans began talking, laughing even. The barriers of fear and suspicion started to break down. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Vextor finished his bowl and sat back. He watched the room for a long time, his expression thoughtful. Finally, he gestured for Taehyun to approach. "Sit," the High Alpha commanded. Taehyun obeyed, his heart racing. "I have led my people for 30 years, Vextor said quietly. "I have conquered 12 star systems. I have never lost a battle. I am feared across the galaxy." He paused. "But I have also watched my empire slowly crumble. My warriors fight each other for status. We dominate but cannot inspire. We conquer but cannot build. Other species hate us or fear us, but none wish to join us." He looked at Taehyun directly. "You have shown me something tonight. Your species is weak individually, yet you have created something we never could. Unity without domination. Strength through cooperation. You build alliances while we collect enemies. It's not weakness," Taehyun said carefully. "It's a different kind of strength. Humans learned that we survive by helping each other. An alpha's job isn't to defeat everyone. It's to protect everyone, to make the pack stronger as a whole." Vextor was silent for a long moment. Then he asked, "How does your kind create such bonds? How do you lead without breaking those who follow?" "By respecting them," Taehyun replied. "By listening to them. By showing them they matter. Leadership isn't about making people fear you. It's about making them want to follow you because they trust you." The High Alpha stared at him for a long time. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. Then Vextor stood and everyone went silent. "You have won your challenge, human," he said formally, "not through combat but through wisdom. You have shown me that strength and compassion are not opposites. They are partners." He placed one clawed hand over his heart. "I recognize you as Alpha of this territory, not because you defeated me, but because you taught me something valuable. My people need what your people have, and perhaps your people can benefit from our theater." Then he did something that made every Vrakesh in the room gasp. He knelt, lowering his head. One by one, his warriors followed. "I propose an alliance," Vextor continued. "The Twin Fang Accord. Human wisdom and Vrakesh strength working together. We will station warriors at your outposts. You will send advisors to our worlds. Together we will be stronger than either of us alone." Taehyun felt tears in his eyes. It had worked. Impossibly, it had worked. "I accept, High Alpha. Let's build something better together." The room erupted in cheers from the humans and howls from the Vrakesh. But before anyone could celebrate properly, alarms began screaming throughout the station. Daun ran to the nearest screen. Her face went pale. "Unknown fleet entering the system. 20 ships heavily armed. They're broadcasting a hostile intent message. They're targeting both the station and the Vrakesh fleet." Vextor was immediately alert. "Identify them." Hyojin worked frantically at her console. "Kryneth. They're Kryneth, a hive mind species. They view all individual-minded races as threats to be eliminated. Don't negotiate. They didn't take prisoners. They simply destroyed anything that wasn't part of their collective consciousness." Vextor looked at Taehyun. It seems our new alliance will be tested sooner than expected. The Kryneth outnumber us. They tracked my fleet here and saw this as an opportunity to destroy two species at once. Taehyun's mind raced. They had just achieved peace, and